Hi guys, it's Mima here, and today we're going to be discussing 1099 NECs. So you own a small business and you paid contractors and you're wondering, how to fill out a 1099 NEC. So the 1099 NEC is a fairly new form. I think they started doing it a couple of years back, but if you're watching this video, the current year is 2023. And this is a form that you will fill out to basically show the compensation that you pay to any non-employees, freelancers, or contractors that have done work for your business, okay? But before you can even fill this out, you need to get the non-employees to fill out a W-9 to request, which is a request for taxpayer identification number. So this form is what you would give to them. I really suggest you collecting this information prior to even an engagement, whatever services they're providing or whatever work they're doing for you. If you know you're going to pay them over $600, just go ahead and have them fill out this form and tell them the reason for this form, which I'm sure they're probably already familiar if they do this type of service. But basically they will fill out their name. The business depends on how they are operating. If they're a contractor, freelancer, non-employee, they're probably operating as a sole proprietor, which basically means they're operating their business in their own name. Okay. And if they have a business set up, then they will put that information there. Number 2, it says check the appropriate box for federal tax classification of the person whose name is entered on line 1. So you'll check whether they want to. So after you form an LLC, everybody says, oh, I'm an LLC. Yeah, you form an LLC as a state designation. Then you have to tell the IRS how you want to be taxed. If you don't elect anything, then by default, you're going to be taxed as a sole proprietor or a single member LLC. So that's that box, okay? Most of your contractors will probably check this box. Some contractors may have organized as a C Corp, S Corp, or partnership. Trust is not really something that that's gonna apply, but the option is there. Then over here, the next line is limited liability company. Okay, this says enter the tax classification, which is a C Corp, S Corp, and partnership. You're probably thinking, okay, we already went over that in this area. But this is saying basically that you're an LLC and you've elected to be taxed as a C Corp, S Corp, or partnership. That may sound confusing, but if you have LLC in your name, then you check that box and you elect how you want to be taxed, okay? If you have LLC and you have not elected how you want to be taxed, then you would just select the individual. But like I said, this is for the person who you're paying to fill out. So you're not really going to be concerned with how to fill this out. It's up to them to fill it out correctly. Okay. But moving on, the exemptions. Okay. This isn't something that really applies to many individuals that you're paying because you're not even taking out taxes most of the time. That's the whole purpose of paying contractors and not having them as employees. You don't want the burden of withholding taxes, okay? For some instances and for some entities, it's an option. But for small business owners, generally speaking, this area is not going to apply to you. Then the person is going to give you their address and their city and state in box 5 and 6. Then this is the most important part, their social security number, or if they have a tax ID number, then they would enter that there. So once you collect all this information, then at the end of the year, after you've determined that the person you've paid them more than $600, then that's when you would issue them a 1099 NEC, which stands for non-employee compensation, okay? Names, but the payer. So who is the payer? If you're the small business that paid someone, you're the payer. So you're going to put your business name and address in this section right here. Then you're going to put your tax ID number, payer's TIN. That's what goes there, okay? In this section, the next section, recipient's TIN. That's where you're going to put the recipient, which is the person that you paid, their tax ID number, okay? Then you're going to put in the recipient's name and their street address, their city, state, and zip code, okay? This account number is not applicable for someone that you paid, okay? In this situation, we're talking about small business owners who make payments to contractors and, you know, need to issue this form at the end of the year. The due date for issuing this form is January 31st, okay? So in this section, if the calendar year, most of you are going to e-file this, but if you're paper filing, you're going to write in the year. The non-employee compensation, box number 1, that is the amount that you paid the contractor for whatever work they did. So in this situation, it would be like $10,000. I get this question a lot. People are like, well, I got some work done in my house and I paid, you know, Joe Schmo painting company to paint. This is not applicable. You doing work in your house is not a business expense that requires you to issue a 1099. Now, if you run your business out of your home and you did work on part of your home that is exclusively used for business, then, you know, you may need to issue a 1099 to a contractor that did work for you. But this is for traditional small businesses that hire people to do, you know, odd things that are not employees, which means you're not supervising them. You give them a project and you give them a timeline and you give them amount and they do work and that's it, okay? So however much you pay them, 10,000, whatever, that's what you would put in a non-employee compensation, box number 1. The next box, box number 2, payer made direct sales totaling $5,000 or more of consumer products to recipient for resale. If this applies to you, you're the payer. Okay, if you made direct sales totaling $5,000 or more of consumer products to the recipient, then you would check that box. Okay, moving on, box number 4, 5, 6, and 7 are only if you are withholding taxes for this contractor. And in this situation, it could happen. But again, most small businesses who have contractors working for them, you know, they don't want to get into withholding taxes for you because it's just another administrative task that they have to keep up with. So more than likely, they're not going to withhold taxes. But if that is the case, then the amount that you withheld from your contractor's pay. So for instance, if you paid your contract $10,000 and you withheld $1,000, you would pay for federal income taxes. You would put that amount there, and you should have sent that money to the IRS in the boxes below. If you withheld state taxes, you would send that money to the state, and is tracked by basically you would have to register with the state and you would have a state tax ID number, and that's what you would put in box number 6. Okay, state income, this amount is going to be the same as box number 1 unless you have a situation where you have employees doing work in multiple states. That could be the case, especially since COVID, where people are like working from home half the year, then they may go to like a warmer climate and work half the year. So if they're technically residing in 2 states, then you would have to divide or track how much they earned in each state and put that amount. So if you see here, box number 5, there's 2 lines. So you could put the amount that you paid the first state there, and then you put the amount, the amount that was withheld, the tax that was withheld to be paid to the first state would go there, and the second state would go there. Same for box number 6. You would identify the states. So if it's Georgia, you put GA, and then the state tax ID number. If it's New York, you'll put NY, and then this is the payer's tax ID number. So if you're issuing this form, this is your state tax ID number. And if you have an employee in that state, whether you were previously registered or not, you may have a responsibility to register your business in that state if your employee is working from that state. So the income that is earned from each state would be divided up and put on each line. Okay, so that's how you complete the 1099 NEC. There's different copies that have to be filed. Copy A goes to the IRS. Most of you are going to e-file. Paper filing, IRS really doesn't like receiving these documents via paper. They really urge you to e-file, so you definitely want to do that if you can get that done. And I hope this video helps. Definitely leave any questions below. Give a thumbs up, like the video if you want more videos like this. Thanks for watching. Bye.